Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. This is our Awakening Together weekly gathering. Each and every week we have a different minister who speaks. If you'd like to attend our services live, please visit our website awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary on the main menu. Then, How to Enter the Sanctuary. Our services are held Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary.
All right. So this is just a thrill. This is an honor. And my heart's just so full of love for every one of these squares. Made it through the announcements. Okay, let's see. All right. Now, I'm going to read to you the statement of purpose, which is really... we have these core values at Awakening Together. And this is kind of in the preamble. This is kind of the setup. This is not just the purpose, but this is our core commitment. There is consistent wisdom in the universe. It shows up in all religions, all philosophy, cultures, and throughout time. This wisdom is not unique, and it's not new. It isn't owned by anyone or by any organization. No one has to go to a special place or a special teacher to find it. It is the most abundant wisdom in the universe. And once one opens his or her heart to this wisdom, it appears everywhere by the hand of universal grace. In order to recognize this wisdom, we at Awakening Together are dedicated to recognize the ways we deny universal wisdom by adopting personal beliefs and personal biases. And we want to recognize these limitations so we can be free from them. We can free ourselves from them and open to the continuous flow of universal wisdom. So that's the core purpose and principle that I'll be kind of pointing back to again and again today. And so we have an opening song that Sina is good enough to play. And before we play it, the whole purpose is that this wisdom comes to you all kinds of ways, all kinds of flashes, all kinds of moments. Someone says something, you see something. And a way it comes to me often is in song. And so while, I may have grooved on a certain song growing up, thinking it was all about something, all about some perfect someone coming and fixing my whole life. I hear the song now, and I hear this song in particular as our hearts calling out to us, our own hearts welcoming us to dance with it. And so I asked Sina if you would play Natalie Cole, An Everlasting Love. All right, I would just invite you to get quiet with me for a second as I give our invocation. So what this is all about is opening our hearts to the universal wisdom. To the fact that we are here and we are ready to lay down that which doesn't serve us and open our hearts to that which does. And it's about discerning what's true for us, what's real for us, what we want, what our heart is calling us to. We are so deserving. as George said a couple of weeks ago, we cannot be less than what God made us. We can only think that. And so what we dedicate this time to is seeing that thinking and calling out that thinking and saying, well, that's not true. And we seek to move from that way of seeing to get a glimpse of what is true. And so prayer today is for clarity and for guidance and and also just lots of compassion, you know. It's a process, and it's kind of an unfolding and a heart opening, and we're just so grateful that we feel the call in our hearts, from our hearts, to live from our hearts. So it is. Okay, well, you are all in for a treat because our inspirational reading today, you're in for a double treat. First is that the inspirational reading today is from Micheal Singer's The Untethered Soul, but then the super treat is that you will be read that by my beloved, the Reverend Sherry Daves. It's a little bit of a longer reading, so I ask you to feel free to get comfortable, take a breath, and just this is the reading.
Thanks, Sam. Happy to join you guys. This is from chapter 6 of The Untethered Soul. Very few people understand the heart. In truth, your heart is one of the masterpieces of creation. It's a phenomenal instrument. It has the potential to create vibrations and harmonies that are far beyond the beauty of pianos, strings, or flutes. And if you think that you feel an instrument, it's only because it touched your heart. Your heart is an instrument made of extremely subtle energy that few people come to appreciate. In most human beings, the heart does its work unattended. Even though its behavior governs the course of our lives, it's not understood. If at any given point in time the heart happens to open, we fall in love. If at any given point in time it happens to close, the love stops. If the heart happens to hurt, we get angry. And if we stop feeling it altogether, we get empty. All of these different things happen because the heart goes through changes. These energy shifts and variations that take place in the heart run your life. You are so identified with them that you use the words I and me when you refer to what's going on in your heart. But in truth, you are not your heart. You are the experiencer of your heart. The heart is actually very simple to understand. It's an energy center, a chakra. It's one of the most beautiful and powerful energy centers, and one that affects our daily lives. As we've seen, an energy center is an aura within your being, through which your energy focuses, distributes, and flows. This energy flow has been referred to as Shakti, spirit, and Chi, and it plays an integral part in your life. You feel the heart's energy all the time. Think about what it's like to feel love in your heart. Think about what it's like to feel inspiration and enthusiasm pour from your heart. Think about what it is like to feel energy well up in your heart, making you confident and strong. All of this happens because the heart is an energy center. The heart controls the energy flow by opening and closing. This means that the heart, like a valve, can either allow the flow of energy to pass through, or it can restrict the flow of energy from passing through. If you observe your heart, you know very well what it feels like when it's open, and what it feels like when it's closed. In fact, The state of your heart changes quite regularly. You can be experiencing great feelings of love while in the presence of someone until they say something you don't like. Then your heart closes toward them, and you simply don't feel the love anymore. We've all experienced this, but what exactly is causing it? Since we all have to experience the heart, we might as well understand what's going on in there. We begin this analysis by asking a fundamental question. What is it about the structure of the heart center that permits it to close? What you will find is that the heart closes because it becomes blocked by stored, unfinished energy patterns from your past. You need only examine your everyday experiences to understand this. As events take place in the world, they come in through your senses and have an impact on your inner state of being. The experience of these events may bring up some fear, some anxiety, or maybe some love. Different experiences happen inside because of how you take in and digest the world as it passes through you. When you take in the world through your senses, it's actually energy that's coming into your being. Form itself does not come into your mind or heart. Form stays outside, but it's processed by your senses into energy patterns that your mind and heart can receive and experience. Science explains the sensory process to us. Your eyes are not really windows through which you look out into the world. Your eyes are cameras that send electronic images into you. This is true of all your senses. They sense the world, convert the information, transmit the data through electrical nerve impulses, and then the impressions get rendered in the mind. Your senses are, indeed, electronic sensing devices. But if the energy patterns that are coming into your psyche create disturbances, you will resist them and not allow them to pass through. When you do this, the energy patterns actually get blocked within you. Long term, the energy patterns that cannot make it through you are pushed out of the forefront of the mind and held until you're prepared to release them. These energy patterns, which hold tremendous detail about the events associated with them, are real. They don't just disappear. When you're unable to allow life's events to pass through you, they stay inside and become a problem. These patterns may be held within you for a very long period. It's not easy to keep energy together in one place for long. As you willfully struggle to keep these events from passing through your consciousness, the energy first tries to release by manifesting through the mind. This is why the mind becomes so active. When the energy can't make it through the mind because of conflicts with other thoughts and mental concepts, it then tries to release through the heart. When you resist even that energy, the energy gets packed up and forced into deep storage within the heart. In the yogic tradition, that unfinished energy pattern is called samskara. This is a Sanskrit word meaning impression, and in the yogic teachings, it's considered one of the most important influences affecting your life. A samskara is a blockage, an impression from the past. It's an unfinished energy pattern that ends up running your life. Every one of the samskaras that you've stored is still there. Everything that did not make it through you from the time you were a baby all the way to this moment is still inside you. It's these impressions, these samskaras that encrust the valve of the spiritual heart. That incrustation builds up and restricts energy flow. The point is that these past impressions do get stimulated, even old ones, and they affect your life. Sensory inputs from today's events dig through all the stuff you've stored through the years, and they restore the exact past patterns associated with the incoming events. When a samskara is stimulated, it opens like a flower and begins to release the stored energy. Suddenly, flashes of what you experienced when the original event took place rush into your consciousness. The thoughts, the feelings, sometimes even the smells and other sensory input. The samskara can store a complete snapshot of the event. It's way beyond any computer storage system created by human beings. You can archive everything that you're feeling, everything that you're thinking, and everything that was happening surrounding the event. All this information is stored into a tiny energy bubble within your heart. Years later, it gets stimulated, and instantly you're experiencing the feelings you experienced in the past. You can actually feel the fears and the insecurity of a 5-year-old when you're 60. What's happening is that unfinished mental and emotional energy patterns are getting stored and reactivated. But it is just as important to realize that most of what you take in does not get blocked. It makes it right through you. Imagine how many things you see all day. They are not stored like that. All of these impressions, the only ones that get blocked are those that cause either problems or some extraordinary sense of enjoyment. Yes, you store positive impressions too. When a wonderful experience happens to you, it doesn't make it through because you cling to it. Clinging means, I don't want this one to go away. He told me he loved me and I felt so loved and protected. I wanted to keep reliving that moment, play it back for me over and over again. Clinging creates positive samskaras, and when these are stimulated, they release positive energy. Hence, 2 kinds of experiences can occur that block the heart. You're either trying to push energies away because they bother you, or you're trying to keep energies close because you like them. In both cases, you're not letting them pass through, and you're wasting precious energy by blocking the flow through resisting and clinging. The alternative is to enjoy life instead of clinging to it or pushing it away. If you can live like that, each moment will change you. If you're willing to experience the gift of life instead of fighting it, you will be moved to the depth of your being. When you reach this state, you will begin to see the secrets of the heart. The heart is the place through which energy flows to sustain you. This energy inspires you and raises you. It's the strength that carries you through life. It's the beautiful experience of love that pours through your whole being. This is meant to be going on inside you all times. The highest state that you've ever experienced is simply the result of how open you were. If you don't close, it can be like that all the time. Don't sell yourself short. This can go on all the time. Unending inspiration, unending love, and unending openness. This is the natural state of a healthy heart. To achieve this state, simply allow the experiences of life to come in and pass through being. If old energies come back up because you weren't able to process them before, let go of them now. It's that easy. Be happy that the samskara, which has been stored down there for all this time, has the opportunity to make it through. Just open, relax your heart, forgive, laugh, or do anything you want. Just don't push it back down. Of course, it hurts when it comes up. It was stored with pain. It's going to release with pain. You have to decide if you want to continue to walk around with stored pain, blocking your heart and limiting your life. The alternative is to be willing to let it go when it gets stimulated. It only hurts for a minute, and then it's over. So you have a choice. Do you want to try to change the world so it doesn't disturb your samskaras? Or are you willing to go through this process of purification? Don't make decisions based on stimulated blockages. Learn to be centered enough to just watch the stuff come up. Once you sit deeply enough inside to stop fighting the stored energy patterns, they'll come up constantly and pass through you. They'll come up during the day, and they'll even come up in your dreams. Your heart will be accustomed to the process of releasing and cleansing. Just let it happen. Get it over with. Don't process them one by one. That's too slow. Stay centered behind them and let go. Just like the physical body purges the bacteria and other foreign matter, the natural flow of your energy will purge the stored energy from your heart. Your reward is a permanently open heart. There is no more valve. You live in love, and it feeds you and strengthens you. That is an open heart. That is the instrument of the heart as it was meant to be. Allow yourself to experience every note the heart can play. If you relax and release, this purification of your heart's a wonderful thing. Set your eyes on the highest state you can imagine and don't take them off. If you slip, just get back up. It doesn't matter. The very fact that you want to go through this process of freeing the energy flow means you're great. You'll get there. Just keep letting go.
Okay, so my father was a newspaper man at heart, and he loved him some splashy openings. He loved it. He loved it big and loud and beautiful. Today is his birthday, and I'm overjoyed. I'm overjoyed to be sharing this day with us all. I do not have a big flashy opening, but I have a deep, deep reverence for what I've learned, what I've committed to learn since his passing some 5 years ago. So about 4 years ago, there was a trip to India going on, and I went to this local church, and the person that teaches the class went, we got this trip to India. And I was like, oh, nothing about India. I didn't even really like Indian food. I didn't think I did, at least. I didn't even really like Pure One import that much. It just wasn't my thing. But something inside said, I think you're going to India. And I was like, dang on. So my buddy and Margot and I, we took off. My teacher, Carrie, came too, but she made it as far as Germany. That's the long version. Here's the short version. I get over to India with this group, and I had been sick for years and years and years, taking care of Dad as Dad was dying. Like, it seemed to kind of bring me back to life. Like I kind of had a purpose, and things started. At least I started to move around a little more. I hadn't been asleep all the time, so I go to India with these guys here. All of a sudden, everything that I'm reading, everything that was just read to you, it was like my heart just opened, and there was just this knowing that everything's okay. Like everything's always been okay. Everything can only be okay, and it didn't come. It didn't come with a how to live this. It just came with this is the truth, and you have an opportunity now to live this. So I had a transformative time. One of the things I was told is I did not have to believe I was sick anymore. And it was like, really? Because I don't know. I pretty much think it out, and I just started having more and more energy. Well, anyway, I come back here, and I went from like clear and open and like heart wide open to like oh. And I went over and saw my buddy Priya. I said, I don't know what happened. I in India, I really felt like I saw something. it was all okay. And it is not okay now. Like, I don't know, like it's either all okay or it's not. Like, I don't know what happened. And I really felt like I lost it. And Priya went, oh, wait, hon. Wait, here, I got a little something for you. She goes, here. And she handed me this book. And it still feels like a miracle. And that's what today's about. That's what this message is about. I'm going to do my best to kind of walk us all through what I slowly but surely taught myself that needed to be done. And I still walk myself through every day, the doing of it. This is still a very active process. And the real question is, it's that Natalie Cole song, right? Do you want an everlasting love? The love you've waited for. And are you ready to be the one, the first one, that's ever loved your own heart unconditionally? Do you want to rectify your mind? Rectify, I looked it up. To put right, to correct. To rectify your mind. So in short, do you want some kind of wonderful? But so anyway, that's as flashy as we get for openings here. And I hope Dad knows that's my best. So here's the title of today's message. There's two parts. It's you got to feel it to heal it. : cultivating the undefended heart. So you got to feel it to heal it. You got to feel it to heal it. It doesn't heal if you don't feel it, is the best I can figure. It just doesn't work that way. To think about it, to kind of adopt other thoughts that people have, lots of really good teachings, thinkings. And if it stays here, this is not where it's blocked. This is where it's blocked. And so we may have the habit of saying, yeah, I'm all about living the truth and being the truth and whatever that means for us. Kindness, openness, compassion. And then mind comes in here, says, all right, you want to be all open and kind, but you can't be kind about this. Wait. Did you hear what they did? Did you hear what he did? And then something in here goes, I have to protect myself against this. I'm all about that, the kind thing and stuff, but this is different. I got to defend against this. This is too much in here. I got to get out of this feeling. And so the resistance, right? So any new habit, we all know, encounters resistance. It's not the way we do it anymore. And resistance can show up in these really kind of subtle ways, It's just well, that's just the way I've always done it. Yeah, no, every time I think of that hurts. So I don't think about that. Oh yeah, every time he or she says that to me, that goes like this. But you know what? I just turn the other cheek. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm pretty spiritual now. Yep, I just take my little achy heart and I just walk on down the road. I just, you know what? I don't even say anything now. I just cringe inside. I just hurt inside. And I just do the next thing I can do as fast as I can to distract and deflect and get away from that feeling. And so the message this morning is you may be missing, unknowingly, this profound healing opportunity, which the universe has conspired, not just to bring to your doorstep, but to your heart. To do this, though, we need to pause first and ask ourselves what we really want. Okay, so you've got this, you got to heal it to feel it? No. You got to feel it to heal it? You got to feel it to heal it. But there's this other part, right? Cultivating the undefended heart. And this is where this cultivation work comes in. So cultivating, right? Look that up. You think you know the words. And I think I haven't know the words, but it's just helpful. So it's an act of preparing the soil. So you want to live from an open, undefended heart. Got to prepare that soil. The soil we're preparing is not the heart. The soil we're preparing is the mind. We don't close our hearts until mind goes, this is too much. We might not hear it. We might not hear the words. And sometimes we do hear it. But either way, there's a thought there that says, oh God, not this. I mean, no, I'm doing good on this other stuff. Not this. Not this time. Oh no. And so we stop. And we ask ourselves, what do we want? Do you want to live from an open, alive, vibrant heart? To do that, the defenses that we put around the heart, by necessity, have to come down. The good news is we don't have to do the taking down of it. We don't have to figure out all that, the fences and how to get them down, and where all the screws go, and how you do it, and we don't have to do any of that. We have to prepare the soil. That's what we can do. We got to decide beforehand what we actually want. We have to decide what we want more than less pain in this moment. And it's understandable. Like, human beings, we're like kind of designed for comfort. We don't groove on discomfort. We have to decide whether we want to cultivate the undefended heart, which means deciding that we want that open-hearted love to flow, no matter what's going on. And so, let me digress just for a second. So I was a lawyer for a long time, a couple of decades, and I used to try cases, and then I got real sick, and so I couldn't try cases. I got to stay up all night, and you can't have a migraine and do that. And so I shifted into you'll never guess, teaching. But I had to. It was my first time going to teach, right? And they were going to fly me to LA, and I was going to teach all these lawyers that knew all this stuff. And I was like, I've never done this before. And I had done the work, but I hadn't done the teaching. And I called up my friend, Carmen Hernandez, this brilliant woman who did all the teaching. She was the teacher woman. I said, well, how do I do it? What's the steps? What do I say? And I'm thinking it's content. Like, what do I talk about? And she gave me one piece of advice that I have never forgotten it. She said, you have to, when you're going, so I was teaching about sentencings in federal court, people that have already been convicted, it's already done. And the only question is how much time they're going to get. What's the sentence? What makes sense? What's just? And she said, a judge has to want to give a lower sentence before the judge is at all interested in how to do it. So you got to speak to the why, to the what, to that this person doesn't deserve that sentence. You, judge, let's talk about what this person should be looking at. And the discussion with the judge is what is fair, what makes sense. And the question for us in that realm is, what do we want? Because we can talk about the how, and I will talk a little bit about the how we do this. But the first question we got to decide is whether we want it, whether we want to live from that undefended heart. And Micheal Singer does a great job about, telling us that when love flows and when life flows, and it was the feeling I had in India. It was like, dag on. Just nothing was getting blocked. Nothing with my stuff. It was just like stuff was just flying through me. And I was like, yeah. And like more energy was coming and more inspiration was coming. And like every day I was excited to wake up. We'd take walks at 4:30 in the morning because it gets a little hot in India. And I would be like, all right, set my alarm for 4. It was like, what? I set my alarm for 4. But what is that? That's the energy you get from an open heart. That's that natural flow that this is all designed to do. And the only thing that stands between an everlasting love, the love we're waiting for. And where we are now is a decision. What do I want? What's it worth to you? So that's step one. So step two. How exactly do you do that? All right. I'm in on wanting it. How does this work? And so here's the wonderful part. This part, and Micheal Singer and our lovely and talented Sherry Daves just walked us through it. But I'm gonna slow it down. The first step to cultivating the undefended heart is just noticing. Notice when your heart's tightening. I just feel that twinge? Like Micheal Singer talked about in the reading. It's like, oh yeah, you're loving them until they say that one thing. Oh yeah, you're loving the news when it's like, oh yeah, Olympics, this, that. Do you hear that one news about that one guy that did that one thing again? And then feel in there. Boom. The heart just closed. Feel in there. So we notice that. That's it. Step one, notice. Step two, you rectify your mind. Rectify your mind. What do I want? Okay, this hurts. What do I want? What do I really want? So, I think I mentioned my dad was a newspaper man, and he was all about the who, the what, the why, the how, the when, all those, just give them the facts, ma'am. So this is the when. What do you want? You want an open heart. So when? When do we do that? Every single time our heart closes. How will we know? How will we know it's the when? Come on. You know when you feel crappy. Like we all know when we feel crappy. We don't have to do some introspection thing. You know what I mean? Some like, oh, wait, just give me a moment. We know. We're like, yeah. And then, we all know it. We know the feeling. Discomfort is happening. This is our practice that we do in our, discomfort is happening. Can we just call it out? Discomfort's happening. We know that's happening. This is not like news to us. Matter of fact, we're about to rearrange everything we're doing to try to get away from that. So we just notice it. So this whole rectifying your mind part, this whole some kind of wonderful, and this is very, very paradoxical because you got to stay in what you want right at the time that your mind's going to get the loudest, right? Your mind's going to be like, no. I need to tell them about this, or I need to get the heck away, or I need to avoid this, or I need to go eat, or I need to go shop, or I need to go do the things that we do, which when we're doing them with a wide open heart, they're gorgeous. But when we're doing them with that trying to get away from something inside, everywhere we go, there we are. So we get to step three. Step one, notice when it hurts. Step two, what do you want? I want an open heart. Step three, what do we do now? We don't close. We stop and we notice. You stop in the name of love and you feel your achy heart. Right then, that moment, just a moment. Gotcha. Step four. There's not really a step four, but here's what I put for step four. This is the, but it hurts part. Because it does hurt. It got stored with pain. It releases with pain. This is how it works. Mind thinks, because it hurts, get away. The rectify your mind, this hurts. It's a blockage. All I have to do to clear this blockage, stay right here. And what? Notice. I got to feel it to heal it. Oh, and check in. You're feeling it. See, this is the thing. You're already feeling it. It's just inviting your awareness, your consciousness, your noticing, your attention to it. You have to love yourself through it. You have to stay with yourself. You have to stay connected to your blocked, burny, pain-filled, tight, constricted, pinchy, pokey heart. And that's it. It's like, that's it? It's like, that's it. Nah, yeah, that's it. Okay, so mind will say, and say, and say, and say, you're not doing anything. What is this hand, heart, feel it to heal it crap? You know, mind is going to be like, you're just prolonging this pain. Mind's going to say, matter of fact, you're intensifying it by sitting right here in it. I think it's getting worse. And it may well be. It got stored with pain. It releases with pain. If you're still feeling pain, it is still releasing. What do you want? Now. What do you want? Want. Because mine's gonna keep going. Not working. It's been 4 minutes. I've given this the entirety of my 4 minutes. You know, and that's not necessarily how it's going to work, right? Mine's going to say you're making the suffering worse. Mine's going to say it just can't be this way. Mine's going to say this sucks. I don't want this. And that's why the knowing, you got to feel it to heal it, requires cultivating a desire to live from that undefended heart first. Because when all that starts when it's all tight in here, it's going to be like, I don't know about this. I don't know. And so you have to want to rectify your mind. You have to want the correction. You have to want to let the blockage pass through. You have to want to heal this one. This one. Which one? Just the one you have. Just this one. And notice, you're not taking any fences down, are you? No. You're just feeling what you already feel. You're just not running away. You do not do this because it feels good. You do not do this because it makes it feel better. You don't do it because it's fun. You don't do it because it's comfortable. You only do this if you have made a heart decision, a soul commitment to be the presence of love in a wide open heart, regardless of the circumstance that life brings, regardless of what they say and how they say it, and what he does and what she did, and what we know we're thinking, and what la, right? And yes, for any of you who are maybe wondering, there's a practice we do here at Awakening Together called the Loving All Method. Of course, this is the Loving All Method. So here's the method. Ready? Stuff comes up, you love it. Oh, you can't love that? Oh, that's cool. Accept it. Oh, you can't accept that, right? Emotionally allow it. You're already emotionally allowing it. It already hurts. And so what for the Loving All method for me is the loving me through it all method. Loving this heart through it all method. And on the path of baby steps, that's the baby step I'm on. All right, so in the Micheal Singer reading, he talked about this crazy thing called samskara, right? It's like, what? These are these stored, unfinished energy patterns, right? And he talked about how when you resist them, they can't pass through. When you just feel it, which you're already doing, but when you just say, all right, feeling it. And then he said, you know, these samskaras, these little blockages hold this tremendous detail, all the events. I want to share with you an example of the fact that, even though that could sound a little odd and like, how can a 7-year-old know what a 7-year-old feels like? I mean, isn't that all just kind of made up stuff? And like, I share with you that I know this to be true. So I'm going to just share a little writing I did last month when things got a little tight in here. I was having a conversation, and I thought it was going fairly well, and then, but all of a sudden, I could hear that I was not speaking kindly. I was raising my voice. There was a little harshness to it, a little self-righteousness, a little like, I know and I'm gonna tell you kind of thing. I was pretty sure that wasn't happening, but it kind of went south, and I just sat there going, what just happened? And I thought, this is not the first time I've heard this from someone. And this is not the first time that things have gone sideways. And I'm just like agitated. I was just like, and so I sat and I wrote. This is what I wrote. So this is certainly not a huge deal. In fact, it feels like something I should just shake off. Okay. So I was told I was being a little annoying. This is nowhere near the first time I've been told that. I cannot possibly fathom how many times in my life I've been told that my tone of voice kind of sucked, that I was talking down to someone, that I had kind of this like intonation, it's like kind of like got a little loud there, The conversation would veer off into some icky, uncomfortable territory, to say the least. So while this might not qualify as a big deal, I can see that I feel a big deal of something. Something about it feels oddly familiar. It's as if I've acclimated to the discomfort, to the icky, to the feeling of tightness, and its close cousin, the shrug of resentment and resignation. Like, yeah, this is just how this plays out, isn't it? And it was the resignation that gave me the hint. It was like, look at that. You got a whole story about how it's got to be this way, and you can't do a thing about it. And this is just how it plays. So while I could just shake it off, I could distract myself until it passes, I could turn the other cheek and move on. I get the sense, though, that there might be something here to be seen. And I suppose, to be real honest, some part of me just doesn't want to buy into the fact that this is just how it goes. Doesn't want to just accept white-knuckling myself through swallowing that crappy feeling, that out of sortness, that shut down, shut out feeling. So I'm writing now, I'm reading you. Okay, I wrote, so how do I feel? I feel annoyed. I feel irritated. I feel attacked, unfairly attacked. I feel like I was just trying to express myself. The next thing I know, I'm somehow doing it all wrong. I feel aggravated. And I feel scared. I feel a certain terror that longs to cry out for help, for understanding, for relief. But the very avenue of such a call, namely my voice, is that which feels like it's been condemned and disallowed and rejected. So now I feel a sudden like closing in and a panic and a sense of being trapped. What I hear my mind saying is that my voice, my means of expression is wrong, is haughty, is judgmental, is harsh. And what I hear is that I am wrong and haughty and judgmental and harsh. What I hear is that no one can bear to hear at another moment, that I am stuck with what feels like a fatal flaw, an innate, immutable, inescapable, undeniable, irreversible wrongness that cannot be tolerated, much less loved. That tone, my tone, cannot be heard another minute, much less listened to, open to, attended to, cared for. Then the conversation that just happened starts to replay in my mind, and I realize I started spinning into a bit of a panic anxiety loop. I recall that the time I had tried to lower my voice, soften my voice, deflate it somehow so it did not reinforce whatever this very, very painful pattern is. What I feel like I met with is some version of sorry. You blew it. You can't recover. You cannot be forgiven. You are still a rejectable, unlovable, harsh it, which must be banished from love and from understanding and from even being heard. It's hard to put into words just how internally stifled I feel, how utter and complete the rejection feels, and just how personally it's all taken. It's like there's this sudden thunderclap in my chest, which just collapses in on itself. And I'm left quaking and unsteady and damn near emotionally overrun. That's when the scene suddenly flashes in my mind. Visions of me as a little kid come up, like the time me and my brother tried to catch me if you can with the waves at the beach in the off-season. My brother was faster and more agile. Always faster, always quicker. I was not. The wave not only caught me, but dragged me under. And losing my footing, I felt terror, directionless. I didn't know which way was up, so I didn't know how to stand up. Like I didn't know which way to push toward. And I just remember the force of the water tumbling my little body round and round till I was ground into the sand. I remember the feel of the hard, cold, rough sand on my face. And I recall not being able to move my face. I mean, it was a total face plant. It was like probably my original face plant. I've had many since, but it was just like dug in. It was like in the sand somehow. It felt like, and I remember not being able to pick my head up for a moment or two. I remember feeling stunned and shocked by the quick and violent tumble of the surf. I remember the new resurgent flood of fear that came when I realized there were more waves where those came from and that I was still in danger. I recall struggling to push myself up and fumbling to get my hands somehow under the dead weight of my body, which felt seemingly pinned down by my soaked winter coat. And I remember being both confused and somewhat panicked by how hard it was to lift myself up, to get myself back onto my feet. The next thing I remember is slowly walking back to the beach house we were visiting, feeling dazed. But what I remember most of all is feeling so ashamed, so embarrassed, like humiliated that I had gotten my clothes wet. I let myself get caught by the wave just for allowing the whole thing to happen. I felt small and cold and damp and utterly engulfed in the shame. I hated myself for feeling like that, for feeling like I had been stripped of something that I could not replace. It felt like safety, I suppose, was gone. And it felt as if I had lost it and that it was never coming back. I remember vowing to be more cautious, to take less risks, to be very, very sure I was safe before I ventured out into unknown things again. I vowed to shut down just a little more for the sake of safety. For the allure of the imagined assurance that I would never, ever, ever have to feel that out of control, that stripped of my bodily integrity, my sense of where I was again. And I remember that fear ripping up through my chest like a knife, as if it were yesterday. I remember the terror and wanting to scream for help, but there was no voice, and there was no option. There were no utterances to be made, only the sound of the waves crashing over me and seemingly through me. So now I see it. It is that shame, that rejection, that helplessness that pokes right back up when conversations go sideways and I sense being attacked. I imagine I'm out of control. And there's some kind of internal replaying of the fear of being crushed in the surf. In this right-minded, sane, untriggered moment, I know that that entire reaction loop has literally nothing to do with any conversation, any reaction, certainly anybody else who's talking to me. So I feel a prompt to sit with this and to open to it fully as I can, and ask, what can be learned? What clarity can be received? So the first question that comes in is, in a nutshell, how does it make me feel? How does it make you feel on scared, rejected, unloved, unheard, uncared for, sad, and angry? And why does that bother me? Because it feels scary, uncomfortable, something to be gotten away from as quickly as possible, something that can hurt me, feels like it does hurt me, certainly makes my heart hurt. Why does that upset me? Because I don't want to feel hurt. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to allow it just to happen. And what feels like again. Why does that bother me? Because I want to protect myself. I want to keep myself safe. What am I believing about myself when I want to protect myself, when I think safety's not here? Is in some other circumstance, one that I need to control life into giving me and providing for me. What I'm believing about myself is that I am small and vulnerable and separate and unsafe. Is it true that I am unsafe? No. But it sure feels that way sometimes. But no, I can see as I sit here that my heart is beating. I'm breathing, I'm fine. I can see that the belief in being unsafe is just a belief, one that is often accompanied by some strong emotions and tight sensations in the body. I can see that I add meaning to it, that in reality there are a bunch of different energies present playing through me, but those energies really do not have the power to hurt me. They only have the power to offer me the experience, the believed, that I am somehow threatened by those feelings. None of that can actually hurt me, my aliveness, my essential beingness, this beingness. It's typing these words, reading off the screen, sitting in this chair. This me that I know myself to be is just fine. I can see that I add the meaning, this means that. And in this case, I add the meaning that the tight feelings and the stormy emotions and the fast-moving thoughts of being unsafe means that I am actually not safe. And in fact, I see the entire time I had that initial discussion I talked about in the beginning, that I was sitting on the bed in the trailer, AC, full fridge, Reggie nearby, mom in the next room. All was actually quite well in reality. It was the thoughts that raced through my mind, which I did not see. And because I didn't see them, they were automatically believed and created the experience of being unsafe. I was actually never unsafe, not actually for a moment. And I realized that this interpretation I put on there this means this about me. I also see that I've been teaching myself this for a long, long time. I think I was about 7 or 8 when I had the run-in with the waves. And I turned 57 yesterday. 57. I see that I have been interpreting many events to have the same meaning. That's why it feels so strong. And that's why it seems so real. That's why it appears to be so true. It's not actually true. It's true because I heavily reinforced the meaning I gave it. And I can take it back. I can forgive myself for this loop. And since it's my interpretation, I do. And I'm super grateful for the clarity, for seeing that I am at choice, for knowing that I choose peace instead of this loop of believing. So I am at the end of my time, and what I want to share with you is that for once in our lives, we get to say if this continues, and that day is today. And when mind tries to take it and tell us we have to react, we can't be with it, we can say, no, you can't have it. I'm going to heal it to feel it. Okay, let me just say that we are a church that is largely funded by donations. If you feel to donate, the donation's in the chat board. Thank you, Sina. If this speaks to you, a bunch of us get together every Tuesday morning from 9 to 11. You don't need to do the work before or after. You just need to show up and want to cultivate an undefended heart. Thank you so much. I love you.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.